Welcome back to SoCon Women's Basketball Media Day. I'm Talia Goodman, and we are here with Western Carolina head coach Jonathan Tsipis. Jonathan, great to have you on here today. What has your first, full off season with the program been like?
Yeah, finally we're going through things that maybe aren't the first time.
Yes.
So a spring, coming out of the season, obviously the summer for the second time. So just kind of, having your feet in the ground a little bit more and having our staff back. And then, just trying to, again, how do you build a program? You get the foundation set first. So we feel like, this past year we've done some really good things with the support of our administration, and excited for the journey that is each and every season, and especially this one with 9 new players.
Yeah. I feel like you guys are pretty well balanced, though, between, you have some returning talent coming back, you have a few experienced transfers, and then you bring in some freshmen who you can maybe help mold as the transfers maybe step up and help them get there. What do you like about the group you were able to assemble?
Well, it's really nice of the 9 newcomers, 8 of them we were able to have the entire summer.
Right.
So, I know that's not something that happens at every program, but, I think when you bring so many people in, it's so much more than just the chemistry on the court. They're trying to get them to know each other, balance your personalities. It's a group that I think really works hard. I think that's something we tried to look for in the recruiting process. We knew we would have a big freshman class. For me, it has to be the right fit transfer portal. I have friends who have kind of rebuilt programs with all transfers. I don't think that's my philosophy in things, but I just like, the common element is they've won at different levels. And I think, we talked all about with last year's team is winning is hard, and you have to learn how to win. And I think the first thing is competing, and we're able to do that. Now, do we end up on that winning side in the conference? Not as much as we would have liked, but I really like this group, and I think they are willing to say, hey, we have returners here. They understood the standard. They know what our coaching staff is looking for, but then they also have people to hold them accountable. And that's really been a pleasure with this group. Is they are young, and it'll be a work in progress all year, but I really enjoy that they go out there with a smile on their face. They want to compete, and they're willing to learn.
What were your biggest focuses and things you were kind of pinpointing heading into year 2?
Yeah, I think we saw, especially in conference play, coming off of 10 wins in the non-conference and, the most non-conference wins in 40 years,
right.
And being able to, we didn't have anybody on our roster last year who had won 10 games as a college basketball player, and we get it done in the non-conference. But I think seeing how we were competitive and so close, and of 11 losses in the conference, we had leads in the fourth quarter in 9 of those games. Yeah. And so I think as we continue to compete, you're hoping in year 2, even if some of the personnel is different, that you can be able to take that next step and close games out and be in that situation. And you're still going to lose some games, but maybe you don't lose them in the same way, and you'll be able to learn and win one that maybe earlier in the season you weren't able to close out.
How do you instill that mindset in your players now to get to that point?
I think we make so many things in practice competitive. And, I think, basketball, obviously, in the end, there's the one competitive nature of who has more points is going to be the winner. But it's, it's such a game of small battles. And we try to break those down in practice in the even in the summertime, when we did a lot of skill work, is bring that competitive, nature out. And again, for us, there's a consequence, right? You lose a game, obviously. It's on the wrong side of the column, but we try to do that with so many different drills, but then be able to move on, I think, is just as important. And maybe last year that was something that we struggled with, is we lost a really close game, and then the little bit of this might happen again came in.
Snowballs in the mind a little bit. Mind game.
Exactly.
But I got to work on it, the mental side of it, right?
No question.
So you mentioned that you have a lot of newcomers coming in, and you're young, obviously, but someone who's not young that you have coming back from injuries, Kinde, and she's someone who had a really strong start to the season before that injury. What's impressed you about the way that she's come back and improved since that?
Yeah, I think here's a young woman who's not had a complete college season yet.
Right.
And I think we were really fortunate that she is able to get that year back. She was right at that cutoff.
Right.
But I think both the returners and the newcomers have seen that work ethic as she comes back from her injury that she puts in and day out. And there's times where she can't do certain things, but she's always there for her teammates. And she's been a great influence on our younger players, on especially some of the things off the court. Maybe a class somebody's taken doesn't go in the right direction on one grade. She's able to. She's somebody who never never gets too high or too low. And I think to have that in the point guard position is so important because that's who the team is looking to on the floor. I think for her, she wants to be a coach one day. And so I think putting her in all these different positions, not intentionally, is really, I think, helping her become a better player, become a better point guard. So it's really good for these younger players, but also these transfers coming in that she's bonded with that want that same thing as her. And she's on our leadership council. I'm excited for her to get that opportunity because she keeps growing. It's amazing since I started to watch a young woman grow both on and off the court.
Yeah. What, for people who haven't watched her play, what does she add to this program?
Well, she by far is our best last year even. She won the starting point guard job, over a returner in Jada Burton, who ended up having an unbelievable season. She just our pace that we want to play with. She gets the ball up the floor quickly, even with the dribble. She's somebody who can play make, score it herself. In the Campbell game, she had 20+, but also set her teammates up. And then I think we missed her defensively. We missed her on the point of the ball, putting pressure, really, making people have to struggle to get into their offense. And that's something I think she's been a really good voice for our new players coming in of what they've got to be able to do to be effective in our system.
Yeah, someone you're able to add to the group is Ari Dizon, who comes over. When you were going through the portal and you were trying to fill in the holes that you needed, that you couldn't get with the freshmen, what were you looking for in her? What role did she fill that you needed?
Well, I think we had such good success with AC Carter last year and being the leading scorer in the league, first team all league. But I think the maturity. I think AC, at Georgia Tech, was an unbelievable worker. Just maybe it wasn't quite the right fit in the ACC for her. We really saw that effect. And everybody says, is it the points, the rebounds? It's just so much more than that from a maturity standpoint. You have somebody that understands getting their masters. And that's, I think, immediately we connected with Ari, that she was set on what she wanted to study. She was set on, I wanted to try to play closer to home. But really, we missed that position, right? We missed having a go-to scorer. I think the other area we felt defensively is, do we have somebody who's really versatile defensively? And I think Ari's going to be able to do that. She blocked shots at Cal State Bakersfield. She got up on the ball and, was in the top 10 in the conference in steals. She just brings so many different things. And that's where, AC Carter was such a matchup because we could move her around.
Right.
She could guard a post. She could guard a guard. She could play either spot offensively. And I just love that maturity of having a grad student. I think that helps trickle down on what those freshmen, they're trying to figure out what classroom to go on campus. And here's somebody that's been through that, understands it, can help them. And Ari's been a really kind of a quiet leader that the kids have turned to one-on-one situations during practice or even off the court. That's really helped, I think, our freshmen be able to gain confidence.
Yeah, I heard that Grace Pack has had a great summer too. What are fans going to like about what's new in her game? What's impressed you the most about the way she's worked?
Yeah, I think, Grace, played through some injuries last year, and I think has finally gotten healthier. I think her understanding what we're trying to do and play to her strength. She's not your typical post player. She has a great outside touch. I think her understanding has really helped the other post players. She's always kind of been the mother hen, even more so when you have all these freshmen, but even in her post group. Last year, she was lucky, she had Zoe Cruz, was in that group, and I think kind of helped take her under her wing, even though they were different type of players. But I'm really excited for Grace because she impacts our program across the board. She's an unbelievable ambassador to our program, and as we're recruiting young women to talk about her experience and the differences between, being at Garner-Webb and being at Western Carolina. But I'm really excited because I think the way that Ari and Grace can play together, it can really play off of each other.
Yeah.
And again, I think the girls look up to Grace because she always makes time for them. I think that listening has helped that part of practice where she can input her knowledge of what we're looking for, so it's not always coming from the coaches.
Yeah. One of the things that stands out to me most is your schedule. Oh my goodness. I was looking at that schedule. That is first November 16th, Oklahoma, November 23rd, Wake Forest. Then you go to Baha Mar, which, by the way, is my favorite resort in the Bahamas. So you're going to have a good time there. I was there a few summers ago. Good blackjack tables if you like them.
Let's hope we're not. Let's hope we're concentrating on the task at hand. But it is a beautiful part of the world.
Maybe play a hand. Maybe you could sit down for a hand. But no, I love Baha Mar, so you're going to have a great time there. But then Yeah, I'll come see you because December 21st you're going to be in Indiana. I'm finishing my last semester there, so I will be there. It's 2 days after my graduation. I'll stick around for you. What excites you about the way that your schedule lined up and the challenges that it presents?
Well, it's the first time in 21 years that we'll have a Power 4 school come in and play at the Ramsey Center, and that all happened after getting a home-and-home deal with Oklahoma last year. They needed somebody for their Kids' Day game. It ends up being a great opportunity for Western North Carolina to see a program that's going to be ranked in the top 10, including one of the most dynamic freshmen to come through college basketball in quite some time. For us, it was, for Wake Forest to play an in-state team like a Duke or a North Carolina, obviously Wake, NC State, and any of those, because we're recruiting the state so hard. I think it's important for us to have that. Baha Mar, I think at Thanksgiving you always want to try to do two things: simulate what your conference tournament's going to look like, but also give, with so many freshmen, that's that first holiday that they're away from home. And I've always tried to do something where their families could come and they could still feel that. We'll actually have Thanksgiving dinner Wednesday night at one of our players' homes in Charlotte before we fly down. The Indiana game, in the bigger picture, we try to take all our players home. And by doing that right before Christmas, we had that opportunity. We have a freshman point guard from Scottsburg.
Yeah, tell me about her, actually.
So Ellie Richardson, basketball is a small world, as you know. So Ellie Richardson's dad and I were on staff at Elon on the men's side together from 2000 to 2002.
Really?
And so I joke with her all the time. I've known her parents longer than she has. But she's somebody, just because I've been friends with her dad, I've watched her grow up and play. And when this opportunity came, I thought, wow, what a great, opportunity for us as a high IQ point guard, left-handed. I might be the only coach in the country that has two left-handed point guards in Kinde and Ellie. So, and she's won. She is, her dad's won a state championship with her brother. She made a state Final Four. She's probably harder on herself, which is scary for a point guard because they take so much on. But we're really excited to have her. I think people are going to really enjoy watching her play and get her teammates involved and just her toughness.
Yeah. What are your goals for this season, whether they're, long-term towards the end of the season, or just things that you're hoping to see from your group?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a work in progress in a good way. I think we'll have some growing pains, just with so many new people and even our returners in different roles. I think I'm excited about that because I've seen this work ethic this group has had, and I think sometimes when you have youth, you do get a little bit high, too high, and you get a little bit low, too low, and so that continuing to improve, because that's a lifelong skill, right? Whether you do poorly on an exam or you do great on an exam, how do you do on that next one? And for us, can we have that competitive edge to tip over the edge as we're in conference play? I thought we did a good job of building that in the non-conference last year. We've obviously upped that ante on what our non-conference looks like, but for us, I think the fun part of the league last year is as an 8 seed, we're playing UNC Greensboro that we had led going in the fourth quarter of both those games going into the tournament. It went down to the wire in the tournament. So it's a great league. It's got great coaches. Last year it was a little bit more senior heavy. I think across the league it's not as much so this year. When you only have one returner back on the top 10 of all the all conference teams. There's no question. That's why Chattanooga, and obviously what they did last year and being under Deandra's system, and they expect to win there. We want to get to that level. We want to get Western back, and we understand it's not going to happen overnight, but get it back to, when Kelly Harper had it here in the mid-2000s of, hey, people don't want to come to Cullowhee because they know they're going to face a tough, physical team that no matter what's happened the game before or 2 games before, they're in for a fight when they come there. And for us to be able to take that on the road, I think defense and rebounding are the biggest things for us to be able to travel with that mindset. We could score the ball last year. Led the league in scoring and field goal percentage, but being better
had a lot of scorers.
We did. So I think this year we may be more equal opportunity scoring, but I think we have an opportunity to be better defensively.
Awesome. Yeah, and like you said, this league, it's so good not only in terms of the players, but the coaches that stay here and that come through here. Either way, it's such a strong league. What attracted you to coming here? And I know it's been a year now, but I'm wondering if it's still kind of on your mind of the reasons you came here and what your experience has been so far.
Yeah, Yeah, no question. Alex Gary was our AD, but it was very much a three-person committee that just seemed so in touch with women's basketball where it was at that state, the growth, the direction the game's going in. Alex was on the women's basketball committee, and so I could kind of get a different angle. I love the fact to be back in the state of North Carolina, going to school here, having my daughter at Chapel Hill. My son's now at Virginia Tech. Actually, have my son and my wife closer this year since they stayed in Wisconsin last year. But the other two people are really important because Alex now is at Southern Methodist. Kyle Pfeiffer was our sport administrator. Now he's the athletic director. Right. Ashley Simmons as the SWA is somebody who has been in our players' shoes as a former, not just a former women's college basketball player, but an all-conference performer, 1,000-point scorer. She'll never tell you that, but she's taken Alex's spot on that committee. So women's basketball being relevant at Western and understanding it's going to take time to build up, but all those pieces from having a leader like Chancellor Kelly Brown as the top of your university, what a great mentor to have for our players, to be able to say the person who's in charge of our university is a female when you're trying to build strong female leaders.
Absolutely. A last thing I got for you. A little birdie told me that you take a lot of pride in your sneakers. So I got to say, what do you got on right now?
We got purple Dunks today.
What's the sneaker that you take the most pride? I heard you have them like all set up in your office, and that's only like half of your collection, right? How many shoes do you have? Let's start there.
I would say probably in upwards of 75.
Oh my goodness! How many do you wear?
So the ones in my office are more display.
Okay.
Any of the ones that have purple or anything like that stay at home because those get brought in for game days. Yeah. I do have it lined up that people have to try to figure out the order, and it starts with Jordan 1s and goes up. I don't have it all the way to the latest model. The latest I have is 23, but I do have 1 through 6. I have 9, 11, 13, 6 rings. I have a 23. But I do take a lot of pride.
To me, a little bit. I'm not what do you like sneakerhead, right?
Yeah,
that's what they call.
The staff likes to refer to me as the most unassuming sneaker.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it coming, but I love it.
But I do like to mix it up. If there's a Lawson shoes, they go way back in the rotation. I can't say they go out of the rotation. I'm not to that point, but I like Jordan 2s. They're kind of underrated, super comfortable. Maybe look a little bit older, but I think the color schemes are really fun with Jordan 1s and the different. I've got 3 different pairs that have some type of purple hue to them. But yeah, try to bring a little bit. I know this part's not bringing a lot to the style game, but definitely my shoes can do it, and our staff. It's kind of a good competitive thing to get our staff involved as well.
What's the next shoe you're getting?
I would say I'm trying to find either a really good. I love Jordan 11s. Okay. Is an 11 with some purple to it.
Yeah. So now is it just purple now? Pretty strictly?
Yeah. So, but I'll go black. I'll go white. I'm really not getting in any blues. Those are my Marquette ones.
You can't wear them like.
But yeah, there's. I think the latest one is our team got a choice of Kobe's.
Okay.
And I have some purple Kobe's that'll make an appearance this year. So
awesome.
that'll be new to I haven't worn Kobe's in a game. I donated my pink ones that our team wore to a better cause, but I think some purple Kobe's will be a good addition as the kind of newest shoe to the game.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like a good luck charm. If you wear them once, you can't stop wearing them if you win, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's gotta be the case.
They stay that way.
I love it. Well, really looking forward to watching you guys this season. Thanks so much for taking the time to sit down with me, and yeah, I hope all goes well, and hopefully I can get down there at some point and catch a game.
Well, if you come to that game in Bloomington, we'll make sure you've got some purple to go with the rest of that red and white.
I will be there. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I might have to go half and half. Like,
okay,
I don't think
understood.
I'm not allowed to wear any, actually, I made the mistake last year. This is funny. I accidentally went to a Kentucky-Louisville game at Kentucky, and I wasn't, thinking it through. I couldn't even remember who they were playing, and I show up. It's at Kentucky, and I'm wearing all red. I'm like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever done. So now I make sure I really only wear black. That's my go-to. But if I'm wearing purple, I got to wear red too. And they might clash, but I'll do it.
I'll tell you this: you don't even have to wear it at the game, just as long as you've got some purple in your color scheme that the Catamounts took good care of you.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. We'll be back in a few minutes with our next head coach.